Hi, families. This is Crystal Sanford, your host for Thriving Special Families. So glad to have you here again today, where we are offering insight, humor, and hope to your special needs journey. Today, our topic will be teens and tweens thriving while learning at home. And our special guest is Mrs. Kathleen Smith. So glad to have you here. Hi, Miss Kathy.
Hi. Thank you.
Yes, yes, welcome. So, again, families, this podcast was made with you in mind. We hope that you find value as you are parenting your teen and tween while they're learning at home. And also, always remember that the information that is shared here is for informational purposes only. If you are in need of medical or legal advice, please do consult a specialist in that area. And our show is sponsored by Stanford Autism Consulting, offering IEP advocacy and helping you advocate for the special education that your child deserves. So, again, we have Mrs. Kathleen Smith here, and she will be helping us talk and discuss tips that are ways to support parents who are supporting teens and tweens at home. Mrs. Kathleen Smith is a wife and a mother who has raised 7 children with her husband of 30 years. She has worked in education and supported children in special education for 25 years. And she's an example of someone who enjoys working with children and she values good parent and teacher relationships. Mrs. Smith is also a seamstress and she enjoys home decorating. So, welcome again, Miss Kathy, is what I call you because you're so near and dear to my heart, like another mom for me. But I've also worked with you as and seen your work and excellence as you've supported teens and tweens in the school system. And
Yes.
so I just knew that I had to have you on as a guest because, we're at the time of this recording, we're still in a time of distance learning. And I know that you have seen it all probably when it comes to special education and teens and tweens. And maybe you can share some insight to parents today. So tell us, Miss Kathy, what brought you to the field of special education? I love to hear people share a little bit about their story.
Well, the way I started, a principal where my children were attending school asked me to support a new teacher. And that's really initially how I got started. And I worked probably a couple of months in that year to support the teacher toward the end of the school year. And I was basically waiting for my last child to get at least to the first grade before I, decided I wanted to just kind of go back to work. So when that particular baby was in kindergarten, I took on a couple of hours a day while he was at school. And then from that point, as he went on to full time, then I stretched myself a little more and I started working 6 hours a day. And someone had told me that there was an opening and they were looking for someone to work in the special education department. And so I said, oh, okay, I think I'm about ready. So I just went and applied and they hired me. And I've been there ever since.
Oh wow! Well, lucky for us here in San Diego for your 25 years of service in this area. So I know that over the years you've seen so much when it comes to supporting teens and tweens. What are you seeing now over the time of distance learning that we're in right now? What are you seeing with students? Are they struggling more or less, or what are you seeing?
Well, some students are actually thriving in this pandemic.
Awesome, awesome.
Some children who are having difficulties are now thriving and doing very well. And I think it's because of the way they're giving the directions.
Mm-hmm.
They're straightforward type directions where they can go back and they can read what it is they're supposed to do. It just seems like their attention is more focused, because they're having to stare right at the computer versus in the classroom, you have a lot of distractions in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And so those who are having issues probably with distractions are more focused now because they're just looking straight at this computer. There's nobody to hold conversations with,
Mm-hmm.
unless you have some siblings running around or
Right.
somebody else in the house. But for the
Right.
most part, they're more focused in that sense. Then you have some that are not doing as well. And, it, I would see that as just because this is a very social time of their life when they're
Mhm.
in this period of time.
Okay.
And so I think a lot of them struggle with that more than they do with their schoolwork. It's not so much
Right.
that they can't get the work done or they're having issues with it, but it's the social aspect, of it that they're having difficulties with, which reflects back on their studies.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, there's a lot of things in place right now for them, but those are the main things that I see, and parents really being concerned about, their mental health, and
Mhm.
I totally understand that. We all understand that,
Right.
because this is their time in their life when they're like social butterflies.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yes.
Right. That's so interesting that you share that paradox, that you're seeing. On the one hand, there's some kids maybe who, without the distractions, I've seen, kids who maybe are identified with ADHD or attention deficit, other health impaired, typically needing those movement breaks and,
Mhm.
the things kind of chunked and these things are able to be more easily provided in the home learning environment. And so as a result, some of them are doing better.
Yeah.
But in contrast, your children who are struggling socially, especially at this age, that
Hmm.
social piece is so big, it's so important that it's bleeding over into their academics. So
Right.
that's really interesting, dynamic that we have going on here. So you've been supporting children who are pushing into and receiving special education support in the general education setting. And so, what are some things that parents maybe can do, things that you have been able to do in ways you've been able to support kids uh, virtually, because that's where we're operating now. Maybe something that you can do virtually, as well as things that maybe parents can do at home with to support their kids.
Yeah. Well, what I see right now is that the main thing parents can do is to sit down with their student and actually go through a couple of lessons. And it
Mhm.
won't take um, maybe an hour or less, maybe not even an hour,
Mhm.
just to see what the student is doing
Okay.
and how they are manipulating the program that they're using. And a lot of schools are using Canvas.
Okay.
And Canvas is very easy to use and
Navigate.
very
Right.
easy to
Mhm.
navigate. If they do that, then they can check their work anytime to see, if they're okay, um, if it's getting done. Um, that's one of the things that I've had to do, and that which is one story that I want to tell you about when I get to that part. But um, basically, stay involved. Ask them how they're doing every day. Hug them, tell them you love them.
Right.
Those
Right.
things are so
Right.
important during this time. Be patient with them. Be patient with yourself, most of all. And kids bounce back. They go through, but I believe that a lot of the kids will be able to go right back into that next grade level and be okay.
Now
And
that is
particularly,
so
yeah,
powerful. I've got to stop you right there because I have so many parents so concerned that, their child's going to be behind. They have experienced, regression, or they're concerned
right,
how will their
right,
child be able to make that transition back into on in-person learning. And so you're saying
right.
because of the resilience of
Mhm.
children and
Yes,
teens, they're going to be okay.
yes,
Yeah, that's wonderful for parents to hear that and get that affirmation. Someone who has worked with kids and seen them in so many different contexts over 25 years, you're confident that kids are going to be okay after this.
well, for the most part, yeah, we can't promise, and I can't sit here and say that all kids are going to be okay because,
Sure.
by right, they're not. It's life. But, and I feel so sadly because of the things that have happened during the pandemic with some children, my heart has really been ailing over that. But
Mhm.
that's why I say stay close to your children as close as possible and give them as much of your time. uh, if it's something they like to do, try to keep them doing it, find some ways to keep them occupied because, so many kids today, they, especially the ones who like sports, I
Right.
mean, some kids, sports is what they need in order to keep them moving.
Right.
So if it's you going out and getting out there, or just getting a group of kids together, in that sense, to just play some touch or whatever, just
Mhm.
try to keep them as active as possible,
That's
you know.
wonderful. Yeah, and that's a
Yeah.
piece that is missing here at the time of our recording here in Southern California. Kids are not engaging in their typical high school sports. And so, like you're saying, things to do to keep them moving. Um,
Yes.
that's really powerful and important for our teens and tweens. So, Miss Kathy, what about those kids who are disorganized at home? And so, how can a parent help that child, the one who can't keep up with their paperwork, and
Mhm.
that's been a struggle at school, and now that still is a struggle at home.
Well, see, that's one of the things, that's one of the benefits. I hate to put it that way, but it's kind of a benefit for kids who were using a lot of paperwork, because
Mhm.
now they really don't have a lot of paperwork. Most of
Okay.
it is on the computer.
Okay.
So a perfect example is that is my own grandson, who is a disorganized little student,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
he's thriving in this because everything's right in front of him, and it's in the
Okay.
computer, and it stays there. He doesn't have to
Mhm.
go find it. My
Right.
son doesn't have to go, where's this and where's that?
Mhm.
They're working very closely with him. And so he's one of the students that are thriving in this pandemic because he doesn't have a lot of papers. Everything is contained right there within the system.
So a benefit, so a plus there is that
Yes.
many schools are doing that contact lists and virtual documents, like you said, Google
Right. So
Classroom,
there's not a
Canvas.
lot of things that they'll have to try to keep up with versus,
Mhm.
the time I know I had a student that had to be organized. And as a matter of fact, I think that's one of the students we both work with together. And,
Mhm.
it's a challenge because it was about making
Mhm.
sure all of that work was together where he can
Right.
get it,
Right.
every time he stepped into another class, where is it, you know, but during this time, everything is right there in that system. So that's why I said if parents just take a few minutes and go through the classes with them and see how that Canvas works. Oh man, they'll find that it'll be such a relief to them. They'll be able to go in and look at their students' work,
Mhm.
and it only takes a few minutes. I guarantee you, it only takes a few minutes. So
Okay.
if they can do that, that's it right there. It's not as much worry with organizing right now because everything is in the system.
So that's great. And I think that parents can probably digest that and accept that, okay, it won't be a long amount of time. There's not going to be that maybe battle that can go on, because, it'll be a short amount of time, helping them go through maybe a lesson or two, showing the parent kind of what they're working with. And the
Right,
parent can kind of keep track that way, since
right.
it's digitally. So for our other kids who are maybe inhibited in sharing and speaking. I know that there are some kids, my own daughter now, she's in fourth grade on the autism spectrum, and she's hesitant to engage when a teacher pairs them in groups or when she has to kind of share out to the group on Zoom. What tips do you have for those kids who may be a little shy to participate or who that was their goal, or is their goal to share more and to participate more?
Well, that's difficult. And I deal with that daily. Um, so sometimes what'll happen is the teacher might say, okay, I need to take roles. Everybody turn on the camera. And just for a minute, so I can say hi or good
Mhm.
morning,
Mhm.
and that worked so well. I was amazed to watch that happen. And I mean, we get excited to see the students like, whoa,
Right.
look at this,
Yeah.
because a lot of them are very shy. And,
Mm.
but those are some of the things that they do. And when they work in groups together, some of them will turn their cameras on and
Mhm.
speak out a little bit. So some of them are just shy around adults, but they come out when it's just the students, like a group
Mhm.
of students in a breakout room or something like that. Then they will stop being so shy and they'll come out. But then some never, just never want to. And, that's part of the challenge of being set up on a computer and doing a home study right now this way, because some children are just not responding to that, but every effort is made. And again, everything that we can do, even if it's just to say hi, or good morning. I mean, that works so well. I was really surprised when I saw that strategy. I'm like, oh, okay. And all the students turn on their cameras, and even if it was just for a minute. And I'm discovering too that if a student feels close enough and warm enough to talk to you, like, you can say, can you turn your camera on for a minute? And they will turn their camera on. And it's like, wow, and we talk and we discuss the work. And so sometimes it's just making that connection with the student to get them to turn the camera on and to speak out and to say what they want to say. So
That's
it's,
great that, you're
yeah,
doing things that are a little bit more natural and conversational and
yes,
of maybe starting to bridge the gap to make the student feel comfortable enough to engage.
yes,
Okay, that's wonderful, and that's something that maybe parents can advocate for. Maybe they can advocate. Maybe it's an accommodation right now. I know that for many parents of children who have IEPs, they have emergency plans or contingency plans of what will special education services look like when my
mhm,
child is in distance learning. And so maybe
yes,
that's a piece that needs to be added in, that the
mhm,
child will be allowed to engage without the camera. They will be able to have more small group time, or maybe
yes,
some more, one on three time with various special education professionals, because maybe they won't engage as much with the teacher, but maybe they will with someone like you, like a paraprofessional, or
yes,
with a related service provider. So maybe we need to be thinking outside the box in how to get
yes.
our kids to engage. Yeah.
Yes, because basically that's who we are. We're kind of like filling in that little gap
Mm-hmm.
between the parent and the administration and the teacher and the student. We're that little piece right there
Mm-hmm.
that kind of pulls it together in that sense with the
Right.
student,
Right.
because we can get to know the student. The
Mm-hmm.
teachers are not that they don't get to know the students, but in the classroom, when kids are working, or even on when we're zooming, she's focused on trying to get the lesson out to the students, and to make sure they have what they need and the help they need. And we're that little in between that's going to go, okay, how are you doing? Are you okay? Let me help you with this. Or is this okay? Do you understand this? In the process, while she is actually bringing the lesson out,
Mhm, mhm,
you
mm.
know. So that's basically what we're doing, and watching the chat and making sure that everything is going okay there. So it really has been interesting, I tell you.
I can imagine after so many years of working in person with children to have to shift online and watching how their behavior, maybe some of their skills have changed. I'm sure it's definitely been interesting, but you have been able to pivot, was the word that people use now, and use your skills to support kids just in a different way. I'd love to hear your story. I know you shared about that you had a story to share about a student that you've been able to have some success with. We'd love to hear about that.
Well, I've done this with a couple of parents. Just take a few minutes, on my job. Just take a few minutes. Here's what we're doing. Here's what your student needs to do.
Hmm.
And then this particular student is done. And we were all happy. We were leaving the Zoom smiling. The mom was smiling. The student was smiling. I was smiling because
Good.
there was something going on here.
Mhm,
The
mhm,
work is getting done, and
mhm.
sometimes it just takes that.
Wow. And so, Miss Kathy, you're saying here, because I can hear, some parents would say, well, you don't know my kid. My kid has an IEP. My kid, their reading is low, or my kid was already struggling before COVID, and now here they are at home with me, and I don't have any time. I'm trying to work and raise these kids, and I don't have the time to help my teenager. What do you say
Mhm.
to that parent?
What I say to that parent is, don't beat yourself up. What I
Mm,
say to that parent is, take one day at a time,
mhm,
and take one moment at a time. And say like Tuesday, you tell yourself, okay, I'm going to check on the English and see how that's going, or see how that class works.
Mm-hmm.
Then you come back the next day, or the next week, and say, oh, okay, well, let me sit in on, Sarah's Spanish class or English class. Or you can even say, okay, you show me your work. Let me see what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can say, I want to be able to talk to your teacher. And teachers will make themselves available on a daily basis if they need to, some of them. I mean, it's just, if that's what it takes. The teachers are really hardworking. And to go into that profession, you have to really care about kids, because it takes a lot. And you're going to be a lot to that student. And you're going to be that parent support. And they want to be that. They want to do that. I've been doing this for 25 years, even more, really. But they want to do this. They always make themselves available. We just have to know as parents that they are there we're there for you, and we're there for your student. We're there for you.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, just reach out.
So, families, as you've been watching, this is another episode of Thriving Special Families. I'm your host, Crystal Sanford, and today we have been discussing how to support and help our teens and tweens to thrive while learning at home. Our special guest has been Mrs. Kathleen Smith, who has served in the field of special education as a peer professional for over 25 years, and she's been sharing words of wisdom that we can all, as parents, use as we're parenting and supporting our kids at home. We talked about, looking at their schedule. We talked about, really helping to support their social emotional space right now, loving on our kids, making sure that they're okay. And then from that point, starting to build on the education piece and reaching out to our teachers to help our kids get the help that they need. So, Ms. Kathy, do you have any other words of wisdom to share with our families as we're parting today?
I think I've given it all. I just say to the parents, try not to stress yourself out, because when your kids go back to school, they're going to catch up. It seems like right now, that maybe things are difficult, but eventually they catch up. I don't know how true this is, but I can say I was once told by someone else in education that when a child not go to preschool and a child can go to preschool, so the child that goes to preschool learns the lessons. By the middle of the year, the child who didn't go to preschool has caught up with the children who went to preschool.
Wow.
So that said a lot to me.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I can't remember who told me that and who I heard it from, but I've been around education for a long time. And, it's just something that I don't know, just the resourcefulness of our kids, to be able to bounce back when they need to. But don't beat yourself up. We're in a time that's out of our control, and believe that your kids are going to do the best they can, So I just say don't pressure kids unnecessarily, and don't put pressure on yourself.
Well, great words of wisdom. And we just thank you so much for sharing from your insight and from your time in supporting children with special needs over the past 25 years. So we thank you for your service in that area, Miss Kathy.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. And parents, if you have more questions for Mrs. Smith, please do reach out to us. If you have questions in regards to your child's IEP and how to get some supports in place, maybe how to get some accommodations in place, like what we talked about today, feel free to reach out to me at Sanford Autism Consulting. You can also email Crystal at sdautismhelp.com. And I'll make sure that if you have questions for Mrs. Kathleen Smith, that they get to her. So thank you again for another episode of Thriving Special Families, where we're offering insight, humor, and hope for your special needs journey. Have an amazing day, everyone. Bye-bye.